any other way, place where they might need to be productive, then a very important thing is the ability to be independent, the ability to speak independently, the ability to go online and be on social media and other places. Those are the benefits of technology, and also with that they can build connections with like-minded people and develop their own communication, their own communities, which may be supportive of each other. I think those are some of the benefits of technology.
Wow, thank you so much. You've broken it down very well, the actual benefits of that technology and how it will address the unique challenges that persons with neurodiverse disabilities face. And I like your example on the noise cancelling headphones, where an autistic person or a person with another neurodiverse disability is sensitive to noise and requires noise cancelling headphones, and that enables them to sit even in a social environment. They are able to access the online resources. I like what you've said, and I'll give Sophie this opportunity to tell us how the issue of accessibility and usability of the technologies, and how when developing the technologies, we can take into consideration that these technologies are being designed with specific persons in mind, persons who are neurodiverse, and they sometimes experience challenges in communication, in social skills, and how this technology can be able to be user-friendly and accessible to them.
It's important to understand the place of user-centered design, which means that for every product, every tool that is being created or built, there has to be that, combination of the developers or the researchers who are building that, and the place of a neurodiverse person, to have a proper look and feel on how that works. Because truly, if you are such a person who is neurotypical, for example, and you think you want to build a solution for the neurodiverse community, I bet with you there are some considerations you will not put in place because you do not have the lived experience. So it's always important that the user-centered approach is taken into consideration. So at Microsoft, we have, specifically Microsoft Africa, we have what we call user-centered design interaction sessions, and we have this every 2 months, 2 or 3 months. Now, what this consists of is emergence of both developers, so tech people within Microsoft, and non-tech. Now, the essence of these sessions is to actually see what is built, have a use and feel, so that we don't put out tools that are not truly helping people with neurodiverse conditions. So that's what that session really does help. Then, in terms of some of the benefits and some of what we see for neurodiverse people who have neurodiverse conditions, that is, from an education perspective, I've seen this happen a lot of times. We'll find that the typical traditional classroom setting is being upgraded now, where people can now actually take online classes. You can leverage lots of LinkedIn learning, and you can take this at your pace at the end of the day. So you're not in any hurry to assimilate learning at a pace that is not convenient for you. From an employment perspective, I do a lot of recruiting, and I see that the ability to allow people to leverage remote work can never be underemphasized, because now it gives that accommodation where you can truly, stay at the comfort of your home, and, you can do your best work, and you're not under any sort of pressure, of mixing with people, especially if you have social anxiety, because I know some people on the autistic spectrum do, experience social anxiety, and a few of all these other benefits that, this creates.
What are the barriers that neurodiverse persons will experience in actually accessing that technology and benefiting from it, and matters relating to things like affordability?
I think a lot of the technologies that have been discussed and are known are usually technological, and we know that in the rural areas, it doesn't matter if it's in Namibia or in Kenya, you don't get access to things like the internet, or you get access to technology or electricity. So I think this is probably one of the biggest barriers that we'll be facing. And another barrier is just knowing. I think a lot of people do just not know that there are these things out there for their children or for the people that they live with. They don't know that they can have access to these types of tools. And one of the biggest barriers that we're facing is finances. People cannot finance these things, and we're trying to work with our governments in order for them to work with these people so that they can have the technologies that they need. I think it's such a privilege for us to know that there are things out there. Just to know is a privilege, but the power, the electricity that goes into working with it. And recently we were having a discussion about why is it that the people from the rural areas are not logged in to watch this session. And someone mentioned that the data bundles of logging in is such a big deal. So can you imagine the data bundles of having to work on a technological tool like that? So when we think about that thing, we must also, all those things, we must also think about how we can have it in such a way that is accessible to the rural areas and people who do not always have technology. And we must also ensure that we discuss these things with the government so that we can have technology in all areas and network in all areas. Yeah.
You have talked about availability and affordability, very, very key in ensuring that persons with neurodiverse disabilities access technologies. I want to go to my colleague Edmo on the impact of inclusion. Impact on inclusion and empowerment, because we know that technology brings together everyone on the same platform, and meaning that whether it's in a classroom setup, in an inclusive setup, the learners can be able to learn together, whether it's within the home setup, whether it's homeschooling or whatever it is, but learners can be able to learn at the same level because of technology. So how can these technologies be able to facilitate independence, communication, and learning opportunities? And I know you had mentioned earlier on and the issue of meaningful participation.
I think that technology enables people with neurodiverse condition to be involved in education, in work, to express their thoughts, ideas, and also to be productive, which is something that we benefit from, results in meaningful participation for the community.
I'll go back to you, Sophie, again. I know you mentioned about co-creation, but how can we bring everyone to the table?
You can never work as an island. You just can't work as a silo so long as you live on this planet. And it's the same thing when we talk about neurodiverse inclusion and the art of building technologies for the neurodiverse communities. Firstly, it's very important that there should be a very huge level of collaboration between technology companies, between governments who create policies, between the academia especially, researchers. There has to be that strong level of collaboration. Reason because, and also people with lived experiences. Reason because you come from various angles. Those who are building technologies are listening in on the lived experiences of persons with neurodiverse conditions. Those who are researchers are actually researching, the best ways to solve, to make life easier. Academia, there's so much that we can do together. So I think that we need to start to think about how to work together as a team so that we can all build the right solutions, the right tools, the right technologies that can address neurodiverse conditions one at a time. I would also emphasize the importance of awards and recognitions. So if you're a government person here, if you are in a really big company or in any sort of position, that's why I was also excited when I heard that this conference, tomorrow we're having an awards night. I said, oh, yay, fantastic. Because that will be an opportunity to spotlight people who are doing good work within the neurodiverse community. That will be an opportunity to spotlight developers who are building tools that are helping to create better experiences for neurodiverse people. So when these awards, these recognitions come, it just enables these people, the developers, to do more. It enables them to want to keep on doing the best that they can at the end of the day.
Thank you. Well, you still have the mic. You could give us a closing comment.
I think that I would say, firstly, I think that if we look back at 10 years ago and where we are today, there is a whole lot that has changed when it comes to the discussion around neurodiverse inclusion. Even disability inclusion as an entirety. More employers, more organizations are now really seeing the importance of disability inclusion, neurodiverse inclusion in building fantastic products, in creating the best content. I really am excited that we're no longer at that level where when we talk about disability, all we're talking about is people who are taking up low-level jobs. Today we have people who are C-suite, CVPs of organizations. We have people who are highly respected journalists. We have people who are in very high and mighty power who are people living with disability. I think it's a very good place to be, and I'm happy to be alive to witness this. And I would just say we should just keep on doing more. The discussion around disability, neurodiverse inclusions will not stop today. It's an ongoing conversation until the planet recognizes it, until there's a place for many people, especially those who are underrepresented in Africa, until there's a place for them, until there is accessibility, until they can literally access, there's inclusion for all. We will not stop. And I enjoin you not to stop as well. Don't get tired.
I would close and say, let us all embrace diversity. People we are diverse impairments, as well as in the neurodiversity community. They are not a homogeneous group. They have each got unique needs and unique preferences. And so as we develop technology, we should also consider those uniqueness. I know it is a challenge because technology is usually targeted at the masses, but I think there will be enough people to use whatever technology is developed for a particular need or preference. Like we say noise cancelling headphones benefit people with neurodiversity, but it has been mainstreamed and it is benefiting a lot of people outside that community. So technology can be developed addressing the needs of people with disabilities, but mainstreamed, which is a way to reduce the cost and a selling point for the development of such technology. I think I will end there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Veronica, a key highlight from you.
Yes. I just want to say that communication is a human right. and all the other barriers, all the other things that we would like to address. If we would want to involve people, we need to focus on communication. We need to give people the right to communicate. I want to also say that we must presume competence. We must presume that our non-speakers and people in our communities who do not use speech reliably to communicate are intelligent and deserve to be at the spot where they can also communicate their needs. We must always address them in a way that is respectful. We must speak to them and not about them and around them. And I would like to thank you.
As others have said, let us continue to innovate, let us continue to create technologies that are responsive to the needs of persons with neurodiverse disabilities, taking note of the unique difficulties they face in communication, taking note of the unique social needs that they require, and ensure that they meaningfully participate and they meaningfully use technology to transform their lives, to empower them, and even to include them both at home and within classroom setup, in gainful employment, in policy making. Thank you so much. It's been a good discussion. Thank you.